Here's Pipkins. He is a breath of fresh air.
That's exactly what Providence needs and Ed Cooley wants out of Pipkins. Beat someone off the dribble. He's a strong guard. You're going to see a rotation of Pipkins and Malik White. These are two fullbacks in point guard bodies.
Cooley talking about how Pipkins has given this team an edge. They returned 4 of their 5 starters, and Pipkins is the 5th. He's a 6th-year senior. Experience aplenty. The Highlanders have come out on fire. That's San Antonio Brinson from deep.
By the way, his name is San Antonio Brinson because his grandmother loved the city of San Antonio. Because the kid is from Georgia.
How about that? A stroll down the Riverwalk. You'll love San Antonio as Cooks comes up with the deflection. Duke fires from 3. This is the offensive rebounding that Brian Kennedy's concerned about.
But right off the bat here, what you're seeing from New Jersey Tech is the attack aspect that Brian Kennedy wants. They have their hands in the passing lane. They're up in the face of Providence. They're the aggressor here early, and that's what they had to do if they're going to stay in this game.
This was a 22-win team a year ago, and to only lose by 5 to Colgate, there's no shame in that as Diakite is long, because this is a Colgate program that's receiving votes in the AP Top 25.
Yeah, I had them as a potential consideration in my Power 36. I mean, Colgate expected to win the Patriot again.
And it's Khalif Young. He's made a big transformation in the offseason for Coach Cooley.
Yeah, Cooley wants him to show that veteran leadership, be that anchor inside, get to the free throw line. And we should mention, and we'll probably talk a lot about this, Nate Watson not available with a knee injury. It'll be interesting when he comes back, how Ed Cooley handles that rotation of Young and Watson.
Ed Cooley in year number 9. In the decade previous to his arrival at Providence College, they had been to just 1 NCAA tournament, and now this program's gone to 5 of the last 6.
He is such the right coach for this program. From Providence, wants to be here. I mean, Providence has had phenomenal coaches, Hall of Fame coaches that have come through here, but it has not been seen as much as a destination job. It is a destination for Ed Cooley.
How has he turned it around? As we look at Brian Kennedy,
who's, by the way, turned around NJIT, especially since they just moved to the Atlantic Sun recently. Not easy, a league that, with Lipscomb, Liberty had that first-round NCAA tournament upset last March. This is a good Florida Gulf Coast. It's a good league in the A-Sun, and Jersey Tech has sort of handled itself in that league.
Officials discussing here, it'll go back to the Friars, a second turnover for NJIT.
Yeah, to answer your question, great recruiting, great staff. Added Jeff Battle, former Wake Forest assistant. They've got multiple players from North Carolina on this roster. Just his commitment, toughness, got that obviously coaching under Al Skinner at Boston College. And he's incredibly likable. I don't know a coach in this country that does not say a good word about Ed Cooley.
Foul away from the ball on Alpha Diallo. Last year for the Friars, though, rare in the last 6 seasons to see them struggle the way they did. And that was because of youth, and they got banged up.
Yeah, I mean, A.J. Reeves was out for a little bit. You're relying on Duke and Reeves, who were freshmen at the time. Emmett Holt was not playing. We're seeing what kind of impact he's having. It just was not the right chemistry on a consistent basis. They've got it back right now. They've got Providence players.
Ed Cooley told us he really likes this team and believes that they can make some sort of a run in March. That is the piece that he wants to accomplish here, because the Friars have a Big East championship in 2014. They've made Big East tournament runs, just 1 NCAA tournament win, though.
Yeah, but how do you do that? You have to have really good guard play, especially at the point. They've got that this season.
Islanders up 6-4, 4 minutes in with a pair of triples.
But also to that point, John, they're going to need Nate Watson to come back. And we'll talk about that. That's what elevates them.
For now, the Highlanders out to a 2-point edge here at the Dunkin' Donuts Center. There's the sophomore big man. They expect him to come back and make a big impact for this Friars team. NJIT. Back here at the Dunkin' Donuts Center with NJIT out to a 6-4 lead on Providence. Andy, this is a team that can dial it up from 3. They've shown us that already.
Yeah, against Colgate, they shot 30%. Last season, 39%, ninth in Division I. And what NJIT has to do is look for that deep three ball. Remember, the three-point line is now further back, a foot further back. Zach Cooks taking it almost to that NBA line with that last three. They're getting these threes within their offense, and Brian Kennedy wanted to attack, did not want to be passive. As he was telling us in the locker room, John, there's sometimes when you play against teams at a higher level, and they will not let you run your sets. In this case, they're not allowing Providence to make that decision. They're attacking right away. They're dictating what they want to do.
On the flip side, after a 6-for-9 start from beyond the arc in the opener, the Friars are now 0-for-5 from 3. Here comes Zach Cooks, a unanimous Atlantic Sun preseason selection. And his cookie's taken by Duke. To Diallo for the easy two.
That's exactly what Providence has to do and Ed Cooley wants. Score off their defense. Don't let NJIT's defense get back in transition. That shooting percentage right now for Providence, that's more what we thought would happen with Providence. Maybe that Sacred Heart game was an anomaly. They hope it's not, but right now it might look like that.
With the handoff to Cooks, and with 10 on the timer, he's called for traveling, a third turnover for the Highlanders.
Because Providence fans that know this team, they're going to expect a team that's going to defend and do exactly this, cause problems and end up scoring at the other end. This is going to be Providence's identity right there, that play, not necessarily just draining threes.
Diallo with the floater, and that's why he's on the Wooden and Naismith Award watch list.
Stopgap. Okay, that defensive turnover right there where they scored off their defense, that was one. And then within their offense, don't look for that deep three. Get to the hoop. Diallo's the veteran. He's the leader. He's the one that just made that happen.
Now a double team on Gibbs. 10 on the shot clock here. On the drive, Brinson was rejected by Diallo, but stolen away by Cooks.
Quick hands.
He had 88 of these last season. Diallo, though, answering with defense of his own for a jump ball. It'll stay with the Highlanders.
You know, without Nate Watson on the floor, they're just not as big, John, and so Diallo's ability to stay inside there and cause some problems. Had a little bit of a mental mistake there with that pass. But Zach Cooks has got quick hands. You're going to see a lot of that in the A-Sun.
You get 88 swipes, top 10 in the country in that category. That's legit.
He doesn't stop moving.
That's the Princeton offense working for him, too, that Brian Kennedy runs. A lot of backdoor stuff. Trying to set something up here.
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy told us he wants everyone touching the basketball.
Cal DeGraff on the back door.
Great cut right there to the hoop.
DeGraff, a sophomore from the Netherlands. They really believe he can come into his own as a post presence and an illegal screen on Emmett Holt.
Yeah, Kennedy was telling me, I mean, he's the X factor. He's their glue guy. As you said, do a little bit of everything. He can shoot the three, stretch the floor, handles passes. That cut right there is exactly what he's supposed to do on the floor. Find those seams.
This NJIT team comes off as scrappy. They were down by 19. A tough place to play in Colgate. Went on a 30-11 run, and Brian Kennedy said his bench was huge in that. Both on the court and then riling everybody up.
Yeah, that wasn't easy. I mean, Colgate had the banner that night after winning the Patriot League last season. Going to a game like that, a season opener at a venue like that.
8 seconds on the timer. Here's Shaquan Gibbs. 14 points against Colgate. Gibbs with the pull-up. Just short. The Friars box out well.
You see Pipkins and White rotate. White now on the floor. He was the one defending that shot.
David Duke with the basketball. Providence, hometown kid. Burying the triple.
Yeah, I'm surprised Walsh just let him have that. He gave him the space. You could argue, obviously, they have not been shooting the basketball well, but still, I mean, Duke can hit that.
Now here's Cooks. Ref thought about it. He can hit the three. Friars are guarding really well early on with 3 on the timer. Cooks was out of bounds, and there's that new three-point line playing a part.
That's exactly right, John. When you get into that corner, as you see Duke nail that 3 where he had the space for that. But this is exactly what officials are going to be watching in that corner, because it goes straight down the new line. In the NIT last March, when they experimented with this new distance, they had 7 times that a player stepped out of bounds on the side.
Here's Emmett Hull on the pull-up. Long, and DeGraff pulls it down. What do you make of the tempo early on?
I think it favors NJIT. It feels like there's more possessions so far. And the more possessions, the more chances NJIT has. But they're going to have to convert. And can't get careless like that.
A 7th turnover. Here's Malik White, who puts it in.
This is going to be Providence's identity. I'm going to hammer this home because I got Providence the next 4 games. So this is what we're going to see as they take on Northwestern on the road midweek, St. Peter's next Saturday with you, and then Merrimack, which, by the way, just beat Northwestern after losing to Maine. No gimmies.
No gimmies. Lots of Friartown for Andy Katz as Cooks is cooking early on.
Hope the fans enjoy it.
You're going to become best friends with that Friar mascot, my man. Cooks with 5 points. Good deflection by Walsh. That's what NJIT will do defensively. Alpha Diallo and the Friars, though, out to a 3-point lead. Nearly 9 minutes in from the dunk.
Now, I think we're doing a good job defensively as we're dialed in. They're picking up their dribble a lot. At the elbow, pressure the 2 and 3 side. Now, when it's dead, you got to stay under the cutter. Under the cutter. And we got to challenge everything at the rim. You got that? Challenge everything at the rim.
So as you heard there from Providence head coach Ed Cooley, he's pleased with the way they're pressuring the basketball on the extended part of the perimeter, but it's on that elbow, which is the side of the free throw line, essentially, that way extended. That's where they got beat a couple times by that DeGraff cut, that Princeton offense you're talking about. So he's got to make sure that they're aware of that.
How difficult is it to defend that consistently?
Well, I mean, you're not going to see it that often. So, you know, NJIT does it well. Brian Kennedy played at Princeton. And his players, obviously, at this point in the season, are dialed in. Doesn't always happen this early.
This first Saturday of the season, the Highlanders have come ready to play. Diallo willed himself to that board as the shot clock resets to 20, and Pipkins fires just off.
They need him to bury that shot. He was in rhythm at the top of the key. For Providence to achieve what they want, he has to hit a shot like that.
Just 1 for 7 from 3 are the Friars after hitting 16 in their season opener win. Riley Walsh, short. He had an open look there. Someone who Brian Kennedy believes can be big for them on the perimeter. Malik White knocks down the 3.
Desperately needed that. Look, Jimmy Nichols, by the way, is the one that got that board. He did not play in that Sacred Heart game, wasn't feeling well. And with no Nate Watson, they need Jimmy Nichols to come off the bench and be productive.
And now White with some defense on the block from behind. Nichols comes up with it. The Friars can run this year. Big reason is Pipkins. The ball just pops with the UMass transfer. Nichols, the sophomore, just short.
Not quite sure that's what they want from him. They have other shooters out there.
He's a tremendous athlete. I'd like to channel that into basketball a little bit more. Michael Willis off on the 3. Cooks comes up with it. He always seems to be around the ball, and this time he lays it in.
Such a heady player, knows where the basketball is. I mean, you could see he was reading Diego Willis's shot. There he is, just scooping in underneath. Providence just sort of letting him slice through.
Zach Cooks played all 40 minutes in the season opener. This is his team, and when you talk to the players on this roster, they say Zach takes ownership of everything. He's a great leader by example and has evolved vocally. Duke, tough shot.
You know, and as for Cooks, I mean, he's from Georgia. They play in a league that's really southern, so hence the name A-Sun. But I mean, this is, I think, a great example for NJIT and Brian Kennedy. Even though they want to be Jersey tough, they're able to recruit south of them because of where all the teams are playing.
10 on the shot clock here for Gibbs. Gibbs with the floater just off. The Friars on the run. White on the pull-up. Off.
No one underneath. By the way, this is an example where they're going with Pipkins and White. Two strong, fullback-like ball handlers.
Three capable of being a primary ball handler with Duke joining them. To your point, NJIT 3 years ago was the most localized basketball roster in all Division I as Princeton knocks down the triple. And the Highlanders are within 3. Their average distance for a player from NJIT's campus was 39 miles. Now they only have one player from New Jersey is Holt, and the foul.
Emmett Holt with that bucket. Look, he is one of the best stories in college basketball. Emmett Holt basically was away from the game for 2 years. Major issues with his intestines.
Yeah.
Multiple surgeries. I mean, it was not good. Let me just say that.
It was life-threatening.
Yes. It's a remarkable comeback. The university has been outstanding. You know, he was up in Massachusetts where they've got some of the finest hospitals in the world, in the Boston area, and there was someone from Providence College with him at all times checking on him. And they really have done a great job helping and nursing him back to health. And now, you know, it was a year ago, he tried to start playing last season. He just didn't have it. And Ed Cooley was telling me it was hard to tell him that. You know what I mean? We know you're trying, but you're just not there. But he's back. He may not be 100, maybe he's 90-something%, but already 16 and 4 in that season opener against Sacred Heart. Tremendous.
Amazing story. 3 on the timer. NJIT needs a heave. And this one long. White comes out with it. The senior guard did a lot of offseason work. Malik White. Cooley said if he needed to win a fight, he'd send Malik out there because of his muscles. Diallo's long. See Brian Kennedy coaching his crew up.
This is a situation, though, where NJIT, where they're walking it up, if they don't get the cut, you know, it might be better off for them, as he was telling us, to really look for that opening quicker. Because the last couple possessions, it feels like it's gone down late.
They've been lost on the perimeter. Willis looking for a cutter. Instead, it's Crooks with the haul. This one's long again. Islanders getting some tough looks.
That was
beyond the arc.
John.
Running deep into the shot clock and not coming out with much. White off the screen. That's exactly what Ed Cooley wanted to see off the pick and roll.
I mean, just look at their body types. Malik White, Pipkins, they can take the punishment and convert. And here it is. White looking for the drive, takes the contact, and finishes. Providence looking good.
Providence up 22-15 on NJIT with just under 7 minutes left to go in this first half. And you are looking at the 6th-year senior in Emmett Holt, who in his return to the Friars in the season opener, he lit it up, and that's continued.
He's done an outstanding job. I cannot stress enough that there was a time where, as you said earlier, it was life-threatening with his intestinal surgery. And then last year, in his attempt to come back, it was fatigue. He just couldn't handle the stress, and I mean the physical stress of what it takes to be a high-level Division I basketball player. And so Ed Cooley told me, he said, look, we had to set him straight, like, it's just not there. You need to rest more. And that's hard for a young man to realize that it's still further out. And now that he's come back and he's in the 90%, basically what he was before, I mean, he went during the worst part of this, John. Ed told me he went from 241 pounds to 173 in the hospital. He was there for 6 weeks in the hospital. And now he's out there being a major contributor on a high-level Division I team.
He's an unbelievable story, and his presence is invaluable for this team, not only as an inspiration, but yesterday in practice, Ed Cooley got upset with his team and said, you guys need to figure it out. Who was the one leading the huddle? Number 15, Emmett Holt. Brought everybody together. He's the glue of this Providence College Friars program.
Started his career in Indiana and really has grown up here at Providence.
Look short on the three. NJIT just 3 for 9. And Providence nearly had Reeves on the break.
Prior to that timeout, Brian Kennedy was not happy with Diego Willis. Got to make sure that they keep someone like White or Pipkins in front of them and not give up that and one.
Willis, the Mexico native, played for the international team over the summer.
Multiple tournaments, correct?
Multiple tournaments, including the Pan American Games, which we'll talk about. 8 on the timer. Nikite to Cooks. And they need a bucket. They go to Cooks, but he's called for a charging foul.
First one we've seen here this afternoon. One thing to keep an eye on, officials are really looking out for flopping. And on the block charge, that's one area that they will look for, but that was legitimate.
Here's the newest Friar on the scene, Greg Gant, North Carolina native.
So he was hurt a lot in the preseason, and the day I was at practice, he was not practicing. And Ed didn't know really what he was going to get out of him, but he knows he's a freak athlete, brings energy, enthusiasm. Scored 7 points in that game against Sacred Heart.
What's it say? He's only had 4 practices with the team. It's Diallo skies and dunks it home.
We're in danger territory here. Plus 10 right now for Providence with 5 left.
6 points for Diallo, the All-Big East preseason first-team selection. Such a skilled wing. Ed Cooley said that Diallo doesn't get talked enough about across the country, being 6'6" and have the ball handling ability that he does, as Diakite was sent away by Young. Oh, the Friars, it's Greg Gant. He's out of bounds there on the takeaway, but Ed Cooley loves the anticipation.
Here's that last dunk by Diallo. It's a little taste of their own medicine. Not necessarily a Princeton cut, but a cut like that.
Where would you put Diallo in the Big East hierarchy of players?
Oh, he's top 5. No question. We'll get to that.
Coming up in a little bit from the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
By the way, the size of Khalif Young, even though, you know, it looks like Suleiman can match him maybe height-wise, not girth. And, I mean, that's the difference. High-level D1 versus an ace Sun. Look at that size.
5 on the shot clock here for Gibbs. Had 14 earlier this week and was fouled by Reeves, who's frustrated. 1 on the timer, and Gibbs is headed to the free throw line.
Coaches hate that, John. You play defense for 29 seconds, and then you bail out the opposing team in the final tick.
Gibbs to the line. The Highlanders only attempted 9 free throws in their season opener against Colgate. Gibbs hit his lone free throw attempt.
Well, Colgate's not a team that fouls that much.
You don't. You just saw he's from Hillside, New Jersey. He's the one Jersey native for this NJIT team.
All right, here, this is what everyone's
there we
waiting for. This is Andy Katz's all Big East predictions. That's me. Look at this. Okay, senior Powell, senior Marcus Howard, senior Alpha Diallo, junior Najee Marshall, and a surprise, Omer Yurtseven, 4th-year junior from Georgetown, transfer from NC State. He makes my first team.
A bigger surprise missing off those top 5 players.
Yes.
The top-ranked team in the country out of the Big East, the 10th-ranked Villanova Wildcats without 1 player.
Oh, you're looking for a Villanova player. Well, momentarily we will get to that, because there are some other players who are under consideration, and you can push back at me on those. Oh, we have a foul. Maybe we could show that.
Duke was fouled. Andy Katz, analyst, producer, expert.
Well, you called for it.
I did, because as DeGraff called for the foul, send David Duke to the line. The sophomore got thrown into the fire last year for this team, and Ed Cooley saying that all those tough times he believes will be better offense. Here's those under consideration.
Look, you could challenge me on how could there not be a Villanova player on there, and the reason for me is I don't think they have one star. But all those guys you just saw on your screen, I think any one of them could potentially be on that first team. To me, they're locks. Howard, Powell, Diallo. 3 locks. It's those other 2 spots that potentially there could be some fluidity.
Great
Quick
deflection by Gant. Here's Reeves. Nifty move for the jam. AJ high flying in Friartown.
Well, that's exactly the way Providence is going to win in the Big East and in their non-conference games. To be able to score on transition like this, get out ahead of the defense, and finish. Providence looking good. Alpha Diallo, first team all Big East, not just by me, but by everyone. He's consensus, the way he attacks the basket. Whenever Providence needs something to happen, they can count on Diallo. He may be a wing, but he can play like a point in terms of scoring off the dribble. I mean, he can put the ball on the floor and get to the hole.
He's a New York native, loves going home to Madison Square Garden every March and playing the Big East tournament, and said it's a goal to hoist a tournament title trophy this March.
Well, hey, cool, he's done that. Alpha Diallo would like to, of course. You know what I love about him? I walk in the gym about 10 days ago. He's so personable, gives me the breakdown of the team, and there was what was it? When they scrimmaged Purdue, their, quote, secret scrimmage. I thought Providence's sports info staff did a great job. They interviewed Diallo after that because media can't be there, and he gave a great breakdown. He's got a future in this business. He could be in my spot next to you, John, but he's got a pro career coming up first.
Andy Katz can hire folks, too. That's Walsh. He's not able to reel that one in, and for NJIT, that's 11 turnovers.
All right, look, that number can't climb if the Highlanders have a chance today, John.
Ryan Kendi in year 4 at the helm. Year 8 with the program as Gantz called for the foul. And he took over for Jim Angles, who's now at Columbia. What Jim was able to do in transforming them into the Atlantic Sun, now Kendi leading them to a 22-win season a year ago.
No, he's done a great job. The fact that they've got the advantage in that league of being the most northern school, so they can recruit south to come north because those kids know they're going to play against teams in their region.
And to Rutgers, UCF, and UConn, still ahead on their non-conference slate. DeGraff on the back door, and they give it away. A dozen takeaways for the Friars. But they can force them too. It'll stay with Providence. It's unable to hang on there was LeVar Williams, the freshman guard, who they're really excited about.
There was a great example of Providence's defense where there was no one in the middle. NJIT was all around the perimeter, and Providence basically had a lock on that, and they did a great job when that pass came through for a cutter. That cutter couldn't get there.
Talks about what NJIT can do to adjust. What are your impressions of the Friars?
Well, they've adjusted because they were shooting too many threes early. Now they're looking to take NJIT off the dribble, but you can't have mistakes like that.
Reeves with the push-off. That's his second foul.
See, this is the, we talked about danger zone when it was 10. Now I'm going to flip it around. Providence needs to sort of step on the throat here. Really extend it. There's 3 minutes left. I mean, this is a chance for NJIT to climb right back in.
Williams off on the 3. Highlanders shooting struggles continue. Here's Reeves on the pull-up. Short. And over the back foul. It's on Diakite.
Now, you can make the argument, John, while it was the right pass in that because his body was going forward, he kicked it out, the shooter was open, but what if he just kept going? What if he went to the hole, drew a foul, because they weren't able to keep them off the dribble?
Good point. Diakite battling with Young. This is a big spot for Suleiman Diakite, the sophomore, because last year he had to play behind Abdul Lewis.
You love Abdul Lewis.
The program's best rebounder of all time, and Mohamed Benderi. So he had 2 bigs in front of him. Now this is his front court, as Pipkins is fouled by Williams.
I mean, he should do that all day. Just try to beat him off the dribble.
That's a 6th-year senior in Pipkins against a freshman playing just his 2nd game in Williams.
I mean, Kennedy needs Williams to be a top defender, but that's not going to happen here 2 games into the season. This is Trial by fire here.
Friars with their largest lead of 13. Diallo, tough finish over Walsh.
Just a sweet stroke.
Leading the Friars with 10 points. Senior, here's DeGroff skying, and Holt altered that enough. Here they come again. Duke. It did. Duke not happy. So take a look at the defense.
Yeah, this is the difference between the Big East and the A-Sun. DeGroff might be able to finish that in the A-Sun. Not on a road game in the Big East when you got size like the Friars.
NJIT with 9 takeaways. Defensively, they've done their best. They need a shot here. Quickly, it goes into Cook's hands, as it is right now. And on the shot clock for Cooks, the pull-up 3 is short. 3 for 11 from beyond the arc. Friars on a 7-0 run.
Rare mistake by Diallo. He's had a couple of those today.
Williams, offensive foul.
Obviously the result not what Brian Kennedy wanted, but I think on the flip side, he will actually welcome LeVar Williams attacking like that. I mean, look at Pipkins. That's a senior move right there. 6-year senior move. Drawing the contact. Know he's going to just take the pop in the chest.
How about his charisma? It's a different breed with his energy.
Yep.
Ed Cooley raving about Juan Pipkins, who had a knee injury for much of the preseason. Jumped right back in. The leader at the 1 spot.
Yeah, that's why he was not part of the Pan Am game.
Exactly right. Chris Monroe, the sophomore who just checked in.
Because that really would have helped him to play with the other Friars that were on that team.
Coming up at the half, the Big East puts on a tremendous program every year called Freshman Fundamentals. They welcome in 30 freshmen from the conference to New York City for opportunities on and off the court. I do head over to that.
You do a little media training?
A little bit of that. We talk to the players for the first time. You get to know guys. Greg Gant for Providence had a lot of charisma coming in, and Rob Stone, Fox Sports studio crew, will highlight that coming up at the break. Another turnover.
Oh, right to you, John.
Right to us. DeGroff throwing it away. 14 TOs for NJIT. And Providence can go 2 for 1. Duke, a crossover. Couldn't finish. Still plenty of time on the timer. Pipkins is heading to the line for a pair.
A little wild possession, but they continue to attack. Now picture this unit with Nate Watson on the floor. Okay, that just adds even more size. The hope, Ed was telling me, is he wants to get Nate Watson a game before the Wooden Legacy. Okay, that's right over Thanksgiving. They're going to be in a tournament with Arizona, Pepperdine.
They'll open up with Long Beach State,
yes,
who's never a pushover.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, they played Arizona in the final. You're going to need Nate Watson in a game like that, or get someone like Chase Jeter. But he wants him to get at least one game before that trip, and if that's the case, then that would be against Merrimack on the 19th.
Watson named the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar watch list, given to the nation's best
I'll be
center.
here. You will not be here.
You know my calendar. 5-second difference between shot and game clock as Cook's hoist was fouled, and that's a costly foul. Because NJIT's on a 4-minute scoreless drought.
Can you tell me what state Merrimack's in?
Massachusetts.
Yes, right on the New Hampshire border.
The Warriors.
In Andover.
What a win for them last night.
I mean, shocking. There's been a number of those. Already today, Nebraska, Fred Hoiberg lost to Southern Utah. That's their second home loss. They lost to UC Riverside. Nicholls State knocked off Pitt. And that's why Ed was telling us before the game. These games really make you nervous if you're a coach at a high D1 because you're expected to win.
Especially when you're taking on a team in NJIT who won 22 games last year. They've got their backcourt core back. And according to Ken Pom, the Highlanders are second in the Atlantic Sun, just behind Liberty, who put together an NCAA tournament run.
Right, and they could be, if they get back again, a team that could win a game or two.
Cooks off on the third, and with 18 ticks left in this first half, Ed Cooley uses his use it or lose it timeout. So the Friars will talk things over here, up by 15. Let's see what they come up with after this. Providence up 34-19 on NJIT in game 2 for both these teams. 18 seconds left to go in this first half. Friars, Alpha Diallo leading them here with 10 points. Malik White with 8. This senior class has taken leadership.
They really have. I think overall, Ed will be happy with their defense, their ability to attack the basket. But the problem is going 2 for 12 on threes. Was that a product of NJIT getting up on them? With the looks, they're going to really have to analyze that. But that can't happen for them to be a Big East championship team.
Alpha Diallo, all Big East first teamer last year. 10-5, a nightmare to guard. Has charged the Friars in this first half. Now they're looking for an exclamation point to it.
Little zone from NJIT.
Triple handoff from the Friars with 5 ticks. Pipkins up top, and they almost threw the house down. That'll do it for the half. The Friars up by 15.
It was a good look, good patience, a little change in the defense by NJIT. But look, Providence looks like a team that is not going to take anyone lightly. They got a good stretch of games coming up as they are off to a significant lead.
On the other side of the break, we send it to the studio in LA. Highlighting Big East freshman fundamentals. This is Big East basketball.
Big men, that's attacking in the paint.
When you saw this team practice in the preseason, that was your top takeaways, how physical they are.
Yes, and that's how they were going to score. It wasn't just going to be big men scoring in the paint. It was going to be their guards getting there because they're physical and they can beat players off the dribble and finish.
They enter the post right away, and there's a foul down underneath. This one on Shaquan Gibbs. And that's what stood out about the opener performance was they went 10 of 20 from 3 in the first half. And you think if they can hit the 3, maybe not at that rate, but just a little bit, it's a game changer.
Well, and that might have been a little bit of fool's gold, and that might have been a little more Sacred Heart, because this is more what Providence is and will be.
Looking short on the pull-up.
They're just not going to be a great shooting team this year. I think that Sacred Heart game is a little bit more of an anomaly.
NJIT climb back in. They have to cut down the turnovers. 14 in the first 20 minutes. And if they're going to, Zach Cooks is the one who starts the kettle.
He's just so active. Got great energy on the floor. Players feed off of him. Constantly talking. Look at these, just on defense. He's making sure everyone knows where they're supposed to be, getting over the screens.
Duke losing the basketball.
Cooks attacks the basket. That's how NJIT is going to get back in this basketball game. They need a star player to take over. He is their star. He's the potential A-Sun first teamer. Could be a player of the year in the conference. And he's got that kind of potential.
One of 4 unanimous preseason selections in the conference. Scotty James, Caleb Holmesley, 2 from Liberty. Ivan Gandia-Rosa from North Florida, the other.
And not have empty possessions.
Alley-oop to Duke from Pipkins.
That's a veteran move by Pipkins. Grad transfer. Head up when he threw it.
And now Walsh, the back door left open, and he capitalizes.
Yeah, Reeves just kind of tripped on that play. Walsh was wide open for the layup.
This Providence team has explosive guard play. You just saw it right there with the alley-oop. Diallo the kick out to Reeves. Offensive foul drawn by Walsh.
What we're seeing here with NJIT is all their defenders are right in the lane, but here's the example where Pipkins saw Duke, He was ahead of the defense, and he just flushed it right there. And I just meant defensively, John. In that last possession, NJIT collapsed everyone in the lane, basically saying, okay, Providence, we're not going to let you beat us inside. We're not going to give you the rim. You've got to shoot over us.
The Highlanders try to give the Friars a taste of their own medicine. Kick out to the corner. In and out. Walsh on the offensive glass, and he was wrapped around by Reeves. And that's the 4th foul on A.J. Reeves.
Well, here's where the depth at that position should benefit. Ed Cooley now looking at Malik White to come in. When you can go to the bench and bring in a veteran, tough senior like Malik White, replacing a sophomore, you're not going to lose a step. So now you got 2 physical guards. You saw this in the first half with White and Pipkins.
10 of the 15 players on the roster are back from last year. There's a rejection by Young. Pipkins on the fast break all the way. No. And Duke's going to the line for 2.
I mean, there were 3 Friars there on that offensive rebound. It felt like there were 5 or 6.
Started with the rejection.
You're collapsing inside. Cleef Young with the block with his left hand, and Pipkins just takes it up at the other end.
Got 6 blocks tonight. Put up 10 in the season opener. It's the first time this program had done that since 2015. David Duke, he's a great story. Providence kid as Young's over the back. And Ed Cooley had to win out a big recruiting battle to get Duke because he was heavily recruited by top-tier programs. Look,
I don't have the answer here, but I'd like to know the last time you had the head coach and one of their star players from Providence. Okay? I can't remember that.
No.
I mean, it's rare.
It is extremely rare. Ikite on the back door. Another rejection, this one by White. A block party's broken out for the Friars here. White traveled.
He made that decision too late. I mean, he was trapped into the basket. He had his man beat, just take it all the way in.
That's what Ed Cooley is. One thing he wants to see his team cut down. 13 turnovers now tonight. How does NJIT crawl back in and get this to single digits?
Cannot have empty possessions. At least got to get a shot up, draw some contact. And right now, the possession is starting way too far out.
Cooks for 3. It's long. Rebound by Diakite. And now Gibbs is stripped. From blocks to steals, this time it's Pipkins. Crossover. Diallo, the trifecta. This long. Doors open for Providence here to pull away, but NJIT within 14, and they get a bucket. Diakite, the sophomore, is fouled by Young.
Hey, one thing I want to just touch on, John, that it happened so fast you might not have noticed it. We forgot to mention this in the first half. On that offensive rebound the previous time by NJIT, the shot clock reset to 20. Okay, that is a new rule. It's expected to get more possession, speed up the game. The reason for that is you don't need those new 10 seconds, or those 10 seconds, because you've already got the ball in that side of the court.
Cooks was behind everybody and cuts it to 12. Don't count out these Highlanders.
Well, think about it. Against Colgate, it was a 30-11 run for them to get back in that game.
Cooks committing the foul this time on the drive. Just his second. He's got 13 points as the junior.
I mean, he's 5'9", and if you just saw that on paper, you'd say, oh, you know, how's he going to handle a bigger, stronger guard? But he plays a lot bigger than 5'9" because he's everywhere.
He's played every minute today. It's hard to bring out of a game because of how much he does for this team as Pipkins drives all the way and the Highlanders come up with a stop.
And I will tell you, when he's on the floor, which is every minute, he does not take a possession off. He's involved in every possession.
That's leadership defined. Young. Cooks, look what I found. For 3, Zach Cooks Cooks is sizzling, and his 16 points have the Highlanders within 9.
But to your point, John, how do they get back in? You got to get a little lucky, okay? That's an example right there. The ball just pops right to him, and he's in a shooting position.
The Friars need a bucket. They go to Diallo, but he traveled. And the NJIT Highlanders are cutting their way back into this one because Zach Cooks has put the oil in the pan, and the Highlanders are cooking. What was once a 17-point Providence lead has been cut down to single digits because of the junior star guard, Zach Cooks, for NJIT.
Look, when you've got a player that can be player of the year in a conference, I don't care what kind of conference it is, you've got a chance, especially early in the season, even on the road. And Zach Cooks, he has been everywhere. He is active. He's got great energy. He's got great hair, and he's very fortunate. I mean, look at the way he just buries that corner three because he's in shot-ready position.
He's got swagger, and when you're taking on Ed Cooley, Providence native, David Duke, hometown kid, you've got to have attitude. Zach Cooks leads in so many ways.
Look, he may be from Georgia, but he's got a little Jersey in him right now. A little toughness. That's what Brian Kennedy wants in these players.
NJIT right in Newark.
John's got a little Jersey in him, right? He's been in Jersey for a while now.
Garden State. Now the three from Brinson. This is long.
Cleveland-born, Jersey bred. That's John Panther.
That's toughness. Let's see how Providence responds.
You are a Browns fan. I don't know if you were born in Cleveland.
I was born in Cleveland.
Okay.
As there's an offensive foul away from the ball. And for the Friars, this has to be the frustration for Ed Cooley. That's 15 giveaways.
Yeah, because here's the deal. Okay, as we said earlier when we talked to Ed, these games scare coaches at this level. But what you can't do is you can't build bad habits, because if you're against a better Big East team and you let them back in, you're going to lose.
Iakite walked with the basketball. That's 17 giveaways for the Highlanders. Yet they've outscored Providence on the gates in the second half, 9-3.
Good halftime speech from BK.
Ryan Kennedy, in his 4th season at the helm. This program on the rise in the Atlantic Sun. Won an Atlantic Sun tournament game for the first time in their 4 years in the league. They've only been in Division I now 14 years. The evolution of this program is something special as Duke rises and buries a key triple for Providence.
Hunting his shot. They desperately needed that to stave off this NJIT rally.
Duke's got a dozen. Three-point shot has evolved in the offseason. They've changed up the shooting form. On the shot clock for Gibbs, the senior from Jersey, 14 in the season opener. Now it's Cooks with a heave, and it's long. Good box out by Young. White for three. Friars catching fire.
Timely threes. The stats won't show it, John. Overall, it'll look like they had a poor three-point shooting afternoon. But timing of the threes. Do we have a stat on the timing of the threes?
They'll get to work on it. White 2 for 3 from beyond the arc today on the drive. And Young was sitting there waiting for it. It's White who takes the charge. Young made the call before the refs made it.
All right, so I'm going to push for a new stat in the NCAA. When does the three come? That should be in the stat box, because we look at these stats and say, oh, they went 4 for 15 or whatever. But if those 4 threes came and extended a lead or stopped a run, that becomes even more important, that shot.
Add it to your weekly planner.
Okay? Find a spot on that stat sheet for those that are just checking stats. When do the threes come?
That's what Providence was missing last year, was those timely threes. 43-28 Providence on top. And Duke, a hand check foul. Actually away from the basketball.
Because, you know, to my point for NJIT, okay, the corner three by Zach Cooks, the timing of that shot was critical. And we'll see if it matters in the big picture, but at that time, it gave them even more momentum.
Cooks with 3 fouls. That's critical. He's got 16 to lead the way. And now another whistle. This is on Cooks, and that's his 4th. And that is the worst thing that can happen to the Highlanders.
I feel like just like a minute ago, you said he had his 2nd.
But 2 quick ones, and now for the first time this season, Zach Cooks has to go to the bench for NJIT. He's played every minute in these 2 games thus far.
I mean, there's 13 minutes left in the game. You got to sit him for a little bit, but not long.
Well, Brian Kennedy now has to wrestle. Diallo crossover. Nichols with the spin. Duke the pull-up. How do you stop that?
I mean, that's what David Duke has to do for Providence. Ed told me he wants him to be a stat stuffer. Be a big-time player. Make plays like that.
5 for 8 from the field as Walsh is short. And now it's panic time for NJIT. They're without their star. The Friars are clicking again. Holt for 3. Of course.
Dagger. So to your point, John, exactly what NJIT cannot do is try to play hero ball. Okay, they've got to be smart here. And those last couple possessions were not without Cooks, especially when Holt can bury a shot like that.
There's not a feel-good story quite like Emmett Holt. He's back. And he's helping to lead this Friars team with their largest lead of the day. Providence is on an 11-0 run over the last 3 minutes to get up by 20. What a special opportunity over this past summer for the Friars. Ed Cooley leading the Big East Conference in the Pan American Games in Lima, Peru. The U.S., the youngest team in the field because these were college players. What a chance for the Big East to make their mark. Providence College leading the forefront to a bronze medal.
First of all, I love this. With the World University Games, they've been taking a team over a college team. And with the Pan Am Games, you took a conference all-star team, if you will, Big East representing the United States, Ed Cooley the coach, Kevin Willard the assistant. You had multiple players from multiple Big East teams. But for Providence to have 4 players on there to get to play with each other, get used to each other, even more so, and play with someone like Miles Powell, as an example, is great for them.
What a bond those players share now when they see each other playing Big East games. And what a job done by Cooley to bring them all together. You think about it, Andy.
You and I were at practice over the summer.
That's a bronze medal. For some kids that might never get that Olympic opportunity, now they have that forever representing their nation.
Yeah, and how often will they ever go to Peru?
Incredible experience. It says a lot about the Big East Conference. They're initiating that type of opportunity. 3 on the shot clock here for NJIT, and Gibbs is rejected by Duke, which forces the shot clock violation.
So while Ed Cooley might not have been pleased with the 10 first-half turnovers, he's very, very pleased with getting that shot down to the last couple of seconds. Providence up by 20 with a dozen left.
All smiles at the dunk as Providence leads NJIT by 20. Let's go inside the huddle with Ed Cooley.
That was awesome right there. Good job, man. Good job. Love that right there. When the ball's not going in, the one thing we can hang our hat on is our toughness and our defensive attitude. All right, the ball will go in the basket. Keep shooting it, all right? Shoot it. Let it fly, baby. Let it fly. See if we get in transition and do what we do.
First of all, I love the physical demonstration that he actually went to the head with playing the hat, okay? Look, that's exactly what Ed has told both of us in practice. What's going to be their identity? Their identity is going to be the way they can obviously force turnovers, bully ball you, if you will, and make things happen. 8 blocks, 7 steals. That's who this Providence team is going to be this season.
You could run through a wall for that guy.
Yes.
His energy is infectious, not just with the program as they turn the ball over on the timeout. That's not what he likes to see.
No.
But you can sense his presence on campus.
Yes. All over the place. All over the city. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, John, one of my favorite pieces I did years ago was when he got the job.
Yeah.
And we did a digital piece where I rode around town with Ed, actually shot it in black and white, went to where his childhood home was. It was no more. It had been leveled. and it was emotional. We went to the old community center. I love doing that piece.
And the hometown kid makes him proud. David Duke from the elbow up to 16 points to lead the Friars today.
Well, I mean, David Duke is playing to his expectation today. That's exactly the David Duke that they recruited. We haven't always seen it.
Yakite on the pull-up. Bank not open. Here comes White with a burst of speed. Diallo open three. Perfect fast break by the Friars.
Just money. In rhythm. He just carries himself. John, he has presence. Okay, not everyone has presence. He has presence. There's class about Alpha Diallo.
Friars' sixth triple of the day. And another stop for Providence.
Well, look, they're only getting one shot. One shot's not going to get NJ back in the game, but shooting to the right of the rim won't help either if you want to extend it if you're Providence.
A 16-0 run, and with Cooks off due to 4 fouls, Brian Kennedy now is going to make the move to bring Zach Cooks back in. You see him in the colorful shoes about to check in with 2 other Highlanders. But him going out with 4 fouls really sucked the life out of NJIT, and now Providence looking. Nichols to Diallo. How about the ball movement by the Friars? Nichols in the corner. In and out. The crowd was ready to burst.
Well, it was a good look. Diallo really causing some problems on Walsh.
That's what Ed Cooley says doesn't get looked at enough nationally is his defense. And he's so lengthy, he can guard just about any position.
Well, he's got great buy-in this season. You could argue last season he didn't.
6 on the timer. Now with 3 stuck in the corner, they've just got to heave up a prayer. And the rebound by Holt. This defense has turned on the Jets. Holt for 3. Williams, the freshman, they love his potential, and he buries the triple to break up a 16-0 run.
Well, time's obviously running out, but they're going to have to obviously bury a ton of threes. They need Zach Cooks back on the floor. He'll be back momentarily.
Well, for this Highlanders program, Duke's left open up to 18. It's bread and butter from the elbow. But they have to go to Rutgers, UCF, UConn. They're going to be ready for ASUN play. Their ASUN opener will come against Liberty in Newark.
Yeah, you're right. They'll be prepared for that.
No question.
But so will Liberty. I mean, they got core of their team back.
It's a tough schedule as well. A giveaway.
That might have seemed like an unforced turnover, but it was forced because of the hectic defense by Providence.
The 20th turnover by NJIT. We've been talking about Brian Kennedy and what he's done with this program, 22 wins last year. He said, though, the non-conference schedule wasn't as challenging as it is this year because he feels like they can be at the top of the ASUN, so he raised the bar.
Well, that's what these programs have to do. They have to go on the road. But as we said earlier, I mean, you can pull off these upsets. We've seen it at Northwestern, at Pitt, at Nebraska.
And on the shot clock, it's a 2-3 zone now. Diallo, short, gets his own rebound. And Duke with the fake on the pass. He's off on the 3, but they keep on getting opportunities. A 4th straight look. How about a 5th now for Young? Much to the pleasure of Friartown. He got 5 looks at it, and Young is over the back. We talked about Ed Cooley's roots, Andy. As we go to break, this is a great shot.
We'll get that on the other side.
Yes, we will. Cooley.
Oh, there he is.
Central High School grad.
Kind of looks the same.
Yes, that smile never wavers. Providence up 24 on NJIT, and there's a mascot that stands in a class of his own.
Yeah, I would argue the 2 scariest mascots in America, the Providence Friar and the Wheat Shocker.
Fryer's coming to Fed Hill with us after the game. Here's the drum roll, please. Andy Katz's Big East predictions.
Hey, revise, please.
So you've got Providence 5th.
All right, the reason I have them 5th in the preseason is because of the shooting, questioning the shooting. But I would not be shocked at all if Providence were to finish not just 1, not just 2, maybe 3 spots higher, okay? I could see them in that top 2. Definitely could see them 3. Of course, I have Marquette at 3 because of one player, okay? Marcus Howard is that big a difference. And Georgetown, I'm a little skittish right now because they've been letting teams hang around too much, but I love you at 7.
You have to talk about that revision because Miles Powell banged up earlier today against Stony Brook, and you're counting for him. If talking about the Pirates being at the top of the league, that will now be a fascinating storyline heading into the Michigan State game this week.
Yeah, Kevin Willard after the game telling reporters that there's a chance Miles Powell could be out for a prolonged absence, which obviously would include the game later this week against Michigan State. And they also have Maryland coming up. They're in the battle for Atlantis, where they open against Oregon, which was picked to win the Pac-12. Seton's got a monster schedule, but Seton has loftier goals, John. You know this. Their goal is to get to Atlanta. So Powell's got to be healthy.
Duke is healthy and rolling. He's up to 21 with his 3rd trifecta.
And I just want to add one other thing, and this is true of someone like Nate Watson, the Providence fans. We're in an era right now where coaches, maybe if they did it earlier, they wouldn't admit it, but they won't rush people back because the NBA has dominated so much of the conversation. Nice cut right there. That's what we saw early in the first half. But if these players have a chance to play at the NBA level, the coach does not want to have any pressure, emphasis to get a guy back on the floor just to win some game in November, December.
Interesting point. Cooks on the dish just now, finding Williams.
And that's that Princeton cut right there. Remember earlier in the first half when we went inside the huddle, that's when Ed was a little upset that they weren't reading that cut.
Alpha Diallo now with his 2nd straight double-double to start the season. He's tied for the Big East lead last year. Double-doubles to 14 and 10 now. New York City kid. He's had an amazing career. And you name it in terms of the watch list this year, Alpha's on it.
Oh, he'll be on it all season.
On to try Brinson, and it will stay with the Highlanders. Let's look at the Big East scoreboard. Georgetown winning by 11. They're 2-0. And St. John's, Mike Anderson era off to a strong start.
Yeah, he scored over 100 in that opener. And look, Mike Anderson, what he was going to do was bring a different brand of basketball to St. John's. You know, I thought he was decent at Arkansas. Some of the Arkansas fans not as happy. But he is true to his principles. They're going to get up and run. The Red Storm players, there was not a mass exodus, which I think should tell you something. You know, they wanted to play for him. He's a great, great guy.
The morning Mike Anderson got the job at St. John's, he called up L.J. Figueroa and Mustafa Heron at about 8 o'clock in the morning. One of those guys was asleep still, but then they got the memo, and that said something to them. As Young knocks it down. How about the big man stretching the floor?
Look, they're shooting, facing the basket right now, and it's working for them. You know, on those standings, St. John's is one of those schools, John, that, and DePaul too, they could finish higher.
DeGraff for 3. That's short.
Here's the difference. Big East and Big 12 right now, there's not a bad team. In both those 10-team conferences that play a true round robin, I do not believe there is a bad team. In the Big 10 right now, Nebraska and Northwestern are bad teams.
That said, when in the Big East and Big 12, you're going to beat up on each other, that 3 doesn't go, putback is good. When you're going to beat up on each other during conference play, because that can happen, how much do these first 2 months get magnified for you to find the non-conference resume wins?
Well, what it does is if those 2 conferences play well in the non-conference, then when you lose to them in conference, you know, then it's going to help you because those power ratings going to go up. You lose to a team that played well in November, December, that's okay.
Gives you a better chance if you're floating around 500 in league play.
Right, as long as you took care of business this month and next month.
A.J. Reeves, 2 points today. Foul trouble that he's had to navigate his way through. Ed Cooley loves this kid's ceiling.
What he wants him to be is a dagger for them, hit those big shots, and we've seen that at times. Obviously, Duke's been the one that's been a little bit more special this afternoon. But he's the kind of player that needs to work a little bit on his confidence. It has wavered, according to Ed, and so if he can improve that, he can certainly reach more of his potential.
Well, this Providence team has the 6-year seniors. There's the and one for Cooks. He's been the bright spot for the Highlanders.
Well, think about it. If you weren't in foul trouble, you know, maybe this wouldn't be, what is it now, 24. It might have been, did I do my math right?
You did the math perfect. You're a Wisconsin grad.
Okay.
And they teach the math well out in Madison.
So, I mean, had he not missed that chunk of time here in the second half, you know, maybe it would be 10.
Young with his 4th foul. You have a player as good as Cooks. He could take over a game, as we've seen even a little bit today. That could bode well in the Atlantic Sun. Nice feed from Pipkins. The ball just pops with this Providence team. Gantz over the back on Willis.
Pipkins got to make those shots. He's had some good looks. I mean, he's now at this, he's 0 for 5 on threes, 1 for 10 from the field.
Ed Cooley's got to be thinking, you made him against me last year. When UMass came in here, he had 26. And the Minutemen upset Providence. Just the 4th home non-conference loss for Providence under Ed Cooley in his 9 seasons.
You can see that he's frustrated with himself.
Willis hits
but I will say this, John. No offense to NJIT, but if we were in a Big East game right now, I don't think that, you know, at some point Ed would have said, look, that's enough. You know, you can't be 1 of 10, 1 of 12 or something like that. Just start facilitating.
Ed Cooley in year number 9. 7 straight postseason appearances. Friars going to the NIT last year.
It'll be 8, and they'll be back in the NCAA tournament.
Diallo for 3. Not this time. They're letting it fly.
Yeah, wide right.
Now 5 on the timer. They need a shot. Duke's been the man all day. Duke with a heave. Shot clock violation taking us into the timeout. After this, we'll talk about Ed Cooley staying home in Providence over the summer. Providence on the cusp of their 2nd win of the season. This past summer, Ed Cooley was courted by Michigan. Instead, he stayed home. Here's more.
Loyalty means everything to me. Fit, connection, love, family. Having Bob Driscoll as our athletic director, who everybody sees his accomplishments as a professional, but I love Bob for who he is as a person, for Father Shanley, who he is as a person, the locker room, who they are as young men. And yet, you can go to other places, it may seem like greener pastures, but the greenest pasture I have is the green pasture straight to Providence College.
We were both there for that. That interview was conducted at the 40th anniversary of the Big East in Providence. And look, I was tracking this story at the time. Juwan Howard, a great fit at Michigan. But Ward Manuel, athletic director at Michigan, formerly at UConn, did his due diligence, talked to Ed Cooley, and I think there's a chance that he could have gone if all those things lined up, if Michigan, you know, wasn't sold on Howard because he'd not been a college coach, whatever. They could have gone down this road. Ed clearly was wanted by Providence. He got a new deal, and it's a great fit for both parties. I think everyone won because Ed fits here. He can be here long term. It can be a destination. I personally think his next move is into the broadcast booth, not for another college job or NBA, and I think Juwan Howard will do great at Michigan.
Cooley signed the multi-year extension. Tom Driscoll, the athletic director, was down in Florida to get the deal done. And Andy, to think that a Providence head coach, as Gant puts it in with the left hand, the freshman getting on the board. A Providence head coach, hometown native or not, stays here instead of Ann Arbor, a Big Ten program. That says a lot about Providence College and the Big East.
Well, and also the Big East has changed. I mean, back when it was a destination job and you had, Pete Gillen, Rick Barnes, way back to Rick Pitino. The Big East was bigger. Providence was not a school that was considered that could always win the Big East or compete at the top when you had those other schools in the league. But now there's no question, even though Villanova has dominated, and Xavier's been up there too, Providence can compete at the top of the Big East every season.
They did right from the get-go, winning the conference tournament in 2014. That felt so poetic that in the reconfigured league's first season, it was the school that Dave Gavitt residing in, charged to the Big East originally. He initiated this conference, now in its 40th year. And that was almost like a night where the conference said, we're going to be okay. They filled up the Garden. Doug McDermott's playing for Creighton. And Providence finds a way in a classic behind Bryce Ice Cotton.
And I'll tell you this, there's a new challenge now on the horizon for Ed Cooley. It's about an hour 45 west of us, and that's in Storrs, Connecticut. Okay, because now UConn's coming into the Big East next season. They're going to be in their territory. And so that's a challenge. And I think that, Ed's up for that challenge.
How's that first UConn-Providence game going to be?
I mean, I went to these UConn-Providence games, living here, 20 years now. And so it'll be a rivalry. There's no question about it. I was there when Jim Calhoun was asked about why you didn't recruit Ryan Gomes from Waterbury, Connecticut, and he's lighting up.
I know you were there.
In Hartford.
On the drive, Duke long. Great day for David Duke, though. 21 points. A foul on Nichols.
So Providence's next game at Northwestern, I will be there. Watch that on BTN, part of the Fox family. And be joined by Kevin Kugler. Look, Northwestern's going to be pretty peeved after what happened because they lost at home to Merrimack. It's a young Northwestern team. I saw them practice earlier in October. They have potential, but the potential is going to take a year. So that's the kind of game that Providence should win. Okay, so Providence legitimately, you saw that schedule, legitimately should be undefeated heading into a Penn game here, a Penn team that won at Alabama. The Penn team is going to compete near the top of the Ivy. And then that Long Beach State game, that's the first game in the Wooden Legacy tournament out in Fullerton/Anaheim. And I will tell you, John, you know this.
Yeah.
The most important game in your non-conference sometimes can be the first game in an MTE, one of those non-conference tournaments, because if you win it, that means you're in the winner's bracket and you're almost guaranteed getting 3 games against high-profile teams. Okay, if you lose it, you drop in the consolation bracket and you can leave that tournament without playing a team that's in the NCAA tournament. Or would be.
And if you lose that first game, sometimes mentally it affects you because then you end up in a loser's bracket against potentially a mid-major that has nothing to lose and will be riding energy into that week, and it can get scary. That said, for the Friars, they do face Florida and Texas back-to-back to close out non-conference play. A Texas game that is here at the Dunk.
And the Florida game will be in Brooklyn. So those are huge, huge games are coming up on their schedule. But don't overlook that Penn game.
I won't. It's on my radar. So is Zach Cooks. He's got 22.
Yes, we will be tracking Zach Cooks in the A-Sun.
We should have a flight tracker on you. You're heading to Evanston next, and then you're back here with me next Saturday.
Yes, and I will be at the Merrimack game the following Tuesday. And who knows, maybe they'll want me to come back for more.
Monroe for 3. Chris Monroe, the sophomore, that has to feel good.
Yeah, we haven't called out his name much. One of those players from North Carolina, along with Greg Gant, that Jeff Battle, former Wake Forest assistant. He's got to get credit for the way he's been recruiting that state.
First points for Monroe tonight. Willis, long, and now a run out. It's the Jimmy Nichols show. Dagger dunk.
Let's just hope A.J. Reeves and Diego Willis are okay. They kind of knocked into each other.
Everybody's all right. Reeves with sportsmanship.
Take a look what happened here. A.J. was looking up for the run out. Diego Willis was just right in line there. But everyone's okay. And Zach Cooks is going to take a seat. Well, it was a pleasure to watch Zach Cooks.
It really was. He exits with 22 points, didn't let up due to some foul trouble. Went out of the game when it was a 12-point game, and then the Friars took control. So now both teams getting walk-ons in. Tommy Dempsey, the freshman, Andrew Fonts, the junior, a crowd favorite. NJIT bringing in Byron Breland, who's just short. Final minute here, and the fans want Fonts to get an opportunity.
These guys work their tails off in practice. They may not get the game minutes, but I've seen it. They're right there, grinding in practice every day.
People don't realize how important that is throughout practices, to have somebody who not only makes you compete better, but also supportive.
Font's a local kid, Portsmouth.
Dempsey from Binghamton. Fonts thought about it.
Another Big East player from Portsmouth, Cole Schweider from Villanova.
Fonts with the ball fake. Fonts for three. He got it! The roof's off the dunk. Andrew Fonts with the exclamation point.
He shot that from Aquidneck Island.
Oh, how about that? That is awesome. And the Friars can hold it on their way. Monroe just off. Friars impressive here today. Breland banks it in. A final thought from you.
This is exactly the way Providence is going to advance in the Big East. Defend, rebound, score off transition. If they can hit a higher percentage of threes, they got a shot to maybe win this conference. But it's the timely threes. I want that stat.
Ed Cooley and the Providence Friars are 2-0 on the season. A 29-point win powered by David Dukes, 21. And Alpha Diallo with the double-double, 15 and 10. Andy Katz, always fun. Once again, our final score, Providence 76, NJIT 47. For Andy Katz and our entire crew, I'm John Fanta saying so long from Rhode Island. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night.